technological advancements, we still find out the weaknesses we have. So I appreciate your patience.
That's all right, because me have so many of them I'm doing daily, so that's mean we know how things works. So
Yeah.
the elections is next month, September 1st, and we only got a few weeks to go. Let's the community knows who is Nick Collins.
Well, thank you again for the opportunity. My name is Nick Collins. I am the state senator for the 1st Suffolk District. That's South Boston, Dorchester, Mattapan, and Hyde Park, with a strong Haitian community that I partnered with these last 2 years in the legislative session on an economic empowerment agenda, but also an agenda that was focused on healthcare prior to COVID-19. So we all know what's happened with COVID-19 and the impacts it's had on communities of color. But one thing that we have worked on from the beginning is a medical residency program that will extend to nurses at Kearney Hospital that we're in the process of securing with Notre Dame Medical School in Port-au-Prince. So we think in the long term, we see a brighter future as it relates to healthcare outcomes, working with Dr. Bonet, who's been a leader in the healthcare field among the Haitian community for years. And this program would be in partnership with Stewart Healthcare, which is not just here in Dorchester, but also in other hospitals that service the diaspora, particularly the Haitian diaspora in the communities of Brockton, Fall River, and beyond. That is the old Caritas Christi healthcare system run by the Catholic Church. Stewart Healthcare is now in charge. So that's been a focus of ours this session, and we believe that is a commitment, when fulfilled, that's going to have great gains for the Haitian community. But we're not just focused on healthcare. We're also focused on transportation. We just recently, to improve access to the Fairmount line and the availability of trains in the morning and evening commutes, with a lot of people in the Haitian community working as essential workers in the healthcare field and other important fields in our Commonwealth. The Fairmount line services Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, and Hyde Park within the city, taking people to job centers. Wow. What we found was that the access wasn't where it should be, because people had to both pay for a commuter rail ride into the city and then pay for a bus if they needed to transfer over. So we changed that. So the MBTA now accepts Charlie cards at or link passes at the train station of entry, whether it's in Hyde Park, Mattapan, Dorchester, and when you come off the train and you need to take a bus or another avenue of public transit, that it's just one cost. That link pass can cover you for the whole day. So it's saving people real money over the course of the month and pushing the system to increase service in the morning and evening commutes, where if you miss the train, you're going to sit around for an hour. Now we're at more of a frequency in the morning and the evening to make sure that transit equity is accomplished. And then finally, in the final stages of planning, electrification of the system. But right now, diesel trains run through the city of Boston, impacting communities of color and impacting, the communities of Mattapan and Hyde Park and Dorchester that I represent. And to put an end to that, also increasing frequency, increasing the speed of rapid transit, but driving down the environmental impacts in the form of emissions. So we think that's really important. We're very happy and proud of the success with the coalition, the Fairmont Indigo Coalition. And then finally, economic development, where we know that a lot of people in our communities are small business owners or work for small businesses that we're supporting, and have filed legislation to provide an equity COVID-19 relief fund, which would be for small businesses and nonprofits that were not eligible for a PPP, and as well as changing the land disposition policy for the Commonwealth, where when we sell state property or lease state property, that you have to have a diverse equity team, so there's black ownership. There's ownership among immigrant communities. And we're having that discussion right now in our Economic Development Conference Committee. We're in the final stages of that discussion. I passed legislation in the Senate to that end, and we anticipate and hope that it makes it through our final negotiations, because that's going to have major gains for businesses owned by people of color, not just because there'll be black ownership in wealth creation, but the decision-making table when contracts are being determined on the professional services, whether you're an accountant, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a contractor, whether you're providing ancillary services. So we think that's major gains and progress and shift towards equity that I'm proud to have led in partnership with my colleagues in the Senate.
That's why let me do a resume. As a matter of fact, review fast in Creole for my listeners. Eh bien, sénateur Nick Collins fait nous connaître que la travail sur un paquet de projets. Demandez qui zone que le représenter zone South, Boston, Hyde Park, Mattapan, Dorchester. Et la travail en pile sous affaire, on connaît COVID-19 qui a fait ravage côté en pile monde en quarantaine, en confinement, et qu'on y a là, et commencer à retourner pour une activité encore une fois. Et bien, pour cela, ils mettent une série de programmes, côté capable de tester free là, tout, et il parle de tout. La travail avec son série de projets, même avec Dr. Bonnet, pour comment il est capable en partnership avec lui-même, pour même bah, un coup de mais tout avec le pays d'Haïti dans le moment. Et puis, non seulement ça, avec diaspora haïtienne, et spécialement tout, nous avons fait département santé avec Brockton, la travail de près. Et il parlait tout de transportation, que il concentrer sérieusement et après, c'est capable d'increase service les matins, à savoir augmenter et service là les matins, comme vous connaissez, activité à prendre pour cela. Il faut que l'y aille smooth et puis aller un petit peu rapide. Il parlait de développer économie small business ou même cap fil pour ça faire pipipia, comme nous avons parlé avec ça, avec Diachota là, côté yon délai là pour pipipia terminer. C'est pas que ça, c'est pas qu'on fait ou même faire ça rapide. Pipipia c'est payroll protection programme pour capable aider ou. Et il parlait aussi de black ownership que la travaille avec dans la communauté pour c'est comment il est capable d'avancer. Donc c'est pas deux gros projets que le pas gagné. So the election is for September 1st. So you know these days you cannot go and knock on the door because of the COVID-19. So what kind of things that you're doing in order to reach the people?
Sure. Thank you very much for that question. So we've been communicating with the district and the community all along. So the election is coming up September 1st, but whether it was partnering with nonprofits and faith leaders in the church community to bring PPE to the community, or with our health centers, we've stayed in contact. So I'm confident that we're working with the folks in the district that they know what we're working on and what we've done. Mm-hmm. But to your point, with an election coming up and a lot going on in people's lives, we're reminding people about the election, and there's multiple ways to vote. You can vote the traditional way on September 1st at the polls. You can vote early at polls across the city, so you're mitigating those lines. And you can also vote early by mail, which allows you to avoid all contact with people in lines during COVID-19. So you should have received something from the Secretary of State offering you the opportunity to vote by mail, which allows you to get an early ballot by the city of Boston or other municipalities where they may live. To vote early for the candidates of your choosing, and I hope you choose Nick Collins.
That's right. Il dit qu'on y a de nos jours capable même voter par mail, par billet élection, c'est pour 1er septembre qui venir. Pour cela, il faut make sure que ou al fait devoir si vous me demandé M. Nicolens, est-ce que un monde capable d'enregistrer jusqu'à présent? I would like to ask you, can someone register to vote? I mean, right now it's we are on the 10th of August. Is it too late or how it is? If you have to register to vote, is it too?
I'm sorry.
No, if you have to register to vote, is it?
No, you have. Yeah.
Is it too late or something?
Well, you still have. Yeah, if you go to the Secretary of State's website, you still have the ability to register to vote, so people can do that. And also, I'd advise people to also be aware of the census. The United States Census. Right now, it looks like it's going to be the end of September. We're trying to get an extension through the end of October, because the United States Census, in particular the city of Boston, is lower than where it should be, particularly among immigrant communities. Because of COVID-19 and the concern around contact, there's been a dip in responses. So we ask people to go on their computers and participate in the census. There's also opportunities in the community. We got resources to community organizations in Mattapan and in the Haitian community to make sure that they're doing outreach on this. So we're really in need of people to participate, because it means two things. One, representation, both locally and in Congress. It develops how we look at our redistricting maps in a stronger, we try to keep communities together, and there's going to be a focus on uniting communities that may be split, whether it's the Haitian community or other communities that have been marginalized. So that's at the local level. At the federal level, it matters on how many people we have representing us in Congress. And then more importantly, and most importantly, it's about resources. There are formula-based funding from the federal government, whether it's housing, healthcare, critical needs that we get. The United States Census is the document that they go by.
That's right. Senateur, il faut connaître que.
So those three reasons: local, counted, people come up here first.
Okay. So Sénateur fait nous connaître capable pas oublier il est toujours capable d'aller enregistrer. You can still register to vote, c'est ça que le sénateur fait nous connaître. Et surtout pour faire Census là, s'il vous plaît, il y a un peu de monde jusqu'à présent qui parcourt et file application online. Donc pour Census là, il y a quand même ajouté, il y a quand même une augmentation jusqu'à mois d'octobre. Donc pour cela, continuez à faire ça parce que nous avons plus de monde qui enregistré, surtout les immigrants, parce que les parcours enregistrés, ça handicape évidemment parce qu'il y a plus d'opportunités, monde capable perdu. So right now we know the COVID-19 is a big problem, but I think Massachusetts and the mayor, the governor, I think they're doing a great job regarding controlling the virus. And are you satisfied so far with how things are working in the states?
Well, we are we're blessed to be with resources that we saved up, so we have an ability to borrow at a low rate for the Commonwealth to do spending as relates to local aid and roads and bridges and infrastructure. So we're well positioned, but that's not going to last forever. So we're in need of resources from the federal government and working with our colleagues in the Congress to bring back a second relief package, stimulus for the communities, not just businesses and people, to make sure we have the resources. People through unemployment. But so we're building for the future because we don't want to find ourselves in a recession because we weren't prepared to weather the storm. We're locally here in Boston. We're blessed with a AAA plus bond rating. The state, a AA plus bond rating through shrewd investments while committing to our priorities for the community. But I just think right now we're in badly needed leadership in Washington that we're not getting from the president. And we're counting on our congressional colleagues. That's why this election to the United States Senate is so important as well.
Yes. We only have a few seconds to go, and hopefully we will have you another time in order to talk more about the elections again, because we know it's around the corner, and you are trying your best to make sure you reach as many people as you can, even though you cannot knock on doors. But there are other things. If people who are listening right now want to help the campaign, can they still hold up signs for you, or how things work these days?
Sure. The best way is, I think, rather putting signs on the houses or make sure we're providing that.
I think we have
experience. So holding signs is something we're thinking twice about right now. Calling us into me for re-election. You can go on our web. We also have it in Hayden Creel about what we did during the COVID-19 crisis and the work we're doing to maintain communication resources to the community during that difficult time.
Well, that's very important. And the telephone number, if they want to reach the campaign to ask for volunteer, it's what's the number again?
Sure. The number is, hold on a second, I'll pull it up right now.
Yes.
It is 617.
Yep.
890 9636. 9636.
OK. 617-617-890-890 96 96 06.
36.
Oh, 9636, 96 36. Ou même qui t'a besoin de volontaire, ou même qui t'a besoin des campagnes, relais 617 890 96 36. Well, Mr. Nick, thank you very much. If you have a last word, what will it be? What is the last word?
I just want people to know that I'm an ally for the Haitian community. I'm proud of our history in Massachusetts with Senator Charles Sumner, who led the fight in the United States Senate to recognize the independence of Haiti, and I'm a proud, supporter of his work, as well as a proud ally of the Haitian community. I hope people know that through my work and what we're doing in the community. And I hope they'll give me a chance to represent them again for 2 more years in the Massachusetts Senate.
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Nick. Again, appreciate it. And the Haitian community is there to give you, the votes. And I think we know what you do for the community. Really appreciate it. And hopefully on September 1st, things will work out. Again, have a good day and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. Voilà, c'était Nick Collins qui était avec